Hello world, it's JWP, J-Word Primo Beats, coming to you live from my bedroom. I will be continuing to look at the HD oscillator, specifically the disable function. So I'm just going to jump right into SynthEdit. And problem is that the disable function on the HD oscillator doesn't really work. So here I have two containers. Top one has the HD oscillators with the disable function, and the bottom one standard oscillators. And yes, each one has 3 oscillators in one. Times 10 times 10 is 100 oscillators, so effectively 300 oscillators. Problem is that it just doesn't work. It responds to a upstream control. So apparently, I'm going to activate it, and we'll see this in action. I'm actually going to pull up a debug for the standard here. See, they're generally the same. Pull up the GUI. Also have a CPU meter in there, which now just disappeared. So and yeah, trigger it. So it's on, and it looks like it's on. It's not on. Okay, so it's off. No, it's on. Put it on. And the volume has been divided, so all 100 oscillators are divided by 100. Well, each one. So they're effectively only one oscillator. Sound wise. And it looks like we're triggering the SD. So we're going to switch this to HD. It's up a bit so you can see the line. So we're hitting about 25. And then if we turn it off, it still responds. It's only 5%. However, that's still quite a bit if it adds up. And say, for instance, I want to do a drum kit with at least 8 to maybe 16 drum hits. And each hit you get to select a different drum. And then, so it's like 15 by 15. Right? And then at least one drum have to have a few different techniques for that one drum. So I'm going to have to reconsider that. Is where each hit or each position will have to be static. However, that's unfortunate, as you can have 2 bass drums or snare drums, different amounts of toms. So for completion, I'll look at this secondary snare drum or standard oscillator, and before it triggers. Now, what I had figured a workaround is to completely disconnect the trigger itself. So I have the switch here, and the trigger is turned off. When it's set to SD, it doesn't respond. It's still waking up every once in a while. 100 oscillators taking up 1%, right? But yeah, so the disable function doesn't really do anything, which is unfortunate. That's pretty much for this lab demonstration, and I should work around. I can't think of anything else I was supposed to cover, so I'm just going to call this video here, and I'm going to see you next time. Until next time. Actually, I forgot that I wanted to do a live test. That's what it was. So we're going to build this. This effectively 600 oscillator plug. Save file first. Sure. I want to see it in action. I'm not going to be able to see the CPU meter or the debug meters. However, we'll still be able to see the CPU meter on here. And I have to turn off my intro screen. Go new. Why it is new? It's just waiting for me. Don't know why I expected the mixer to disappear. All right, so here's the 600 oscillator snare drum. And see, everybody has like, that's not even doing anything. Let's go to HD and we'll turn it off and we'll trigger it. Now, it shouldn't do anything. But yeah, we're up at 25%. And that's an allocation. I mean, that's not total CPU. With audio apps, that's only an allocation. CPU. If I hit it, it's not gonna take up 25% of my CPU. And that's off, right? That's off 25%. The allocation. Okay, here's it on. 68. I mean, that's a lot of oscillators for this 300 oscillators, but when it's sleeping, it shouldn't be doing anything. And then the standard. All right, so let's do another test here. Let's rip out the standard oscillators. And SynthEdit, okay, and with hard lines. Close that, open this. And we're going to rip out the standards. Just so I actually have to leave that gate there. Just leave that gate. So there's nothing happening. Right, and I'm not going to save that. Export, okay, save, no. Just so there's nothing happening during the, the switch. When it switches to standard oscillator, there's nothing there, so nothing should happen. Okay, so switching to HD, and HD off. Still getting that 25% response. And on, out, yeah. Okay, and then the standard oscillator. I don't even know why this is thing doing something. But it's still, idling on 5%. I don't even know if expanding my buffer will really give me much more. I don't think that's how it works. No. So yeah, that's the end of that. Even with the off switch off, we're still getting a response from downstream modules. And I imagine it's probably things like ADSR, VCA, those kind of things too might be the ones kicking in. However, in order for a oscillator to properly sleep, or the SynthEdit oscillator properly sleep, those things have to be connected to it. So the only way to really, disconnect is to change the trigger. And there's no disable. It's just not a thing. Well, that's not true, because thinking about it, if there's a disable function, then the oscillator no longer needs the oscillator algorithm. Food for thought. Be another test down the road. So the HD oscillator is not completely out. I'll give it that. However, it's going to take a little bit more of a method and algorithm to fully utilize it. And it's pretty much the same thing anyway. I mean, it's just removing the trigger. Right? Because you're just not triggering the MIDI to CV, which is connected to the VCA or ADSR. Anyway, so if you're cutting the ribbon, cutting the cord to the oscillator, maybe it's just for like an LFO, I guess. build the oscillator as an LFO, but as a generator. I'm totally bagged. Hey man, we'll call it there. Until next time.